The Chargers are looking for revenge against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the biggest difference this time around is Keenan Allen, who didn't get to play in the first round. If he can step up this time, Justin Herbert should get his first playoff win.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 7 seasons, but this is our 5th season as a host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you guys for making us your first listen today. To make sure you never miss the show, go subscribe to the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel, and also follow the show for free on all platforms, wherever you get your podcast from. And today we're talking about playoffs, David. It's so exciting to have this show to be getting a really important game at this time of the year. And to me, I'm looking at Keenan Allen, who wasn't there in the first game, to step up in a really good matchup for him this week. I think the Chargers offense also needs to find a way to give Justin Herbert the time he needs to dissect the Jaguars defense. And I'm also wondering if Brandon Staley can cook up another defensive masterpiece in this one. We saw it during the 4-game winning streak. Can he do it again? Can he make Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable? And we have to get into our bold and our game predictions. I think the Chargers are going to win in this one. We'll see what David has to say about it. But today's episode is sponsored by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. All right, David, well, let's get into this one and how the Chargers can change their fortunes after a beatdown by the Jaguars in week 3. Both teams are so different now. We all know that. The biggest difference to me is that the Chargers have Keenan Allen this time, and I don't think it's a point that people are talking about enough, because Keenan Allen has been on fire when he's been able to be healthy this season, having one of his best years ever, really, on a per-game basis. He only had 6 catches in the 2018 playoff run, 4 catches against the Ravens, only 2 catches against the Patriots when the Chargers ended up getting...
Unbelievable.
It's crazy to think about now, but I think in this one, with a great matchup, he should really have a field day.
Absolutely. And Keenan Allen right now, after kind of knocking off the rust the first couple of games, he's in rare form. The last 3 games, he has 2 100-plus yard games, and 14 of his 24 catches have gone for first downs. That's 58% of his catches. He is an absolute monster on third down. He is uncoverable. You cannot guard him. It does not matter what you do. He is a beast on third down. He is a chain mover. He is so important to this offense, and I just love the way that he is playing, the confidence he's playing with. He's clearly healthy. He's going out there making great plays, and that is bad news for the Jaguars and great news for the Chargers offense.
Especially since we don't know what's going to happen with Mike Williams. He did not practice at all this week. Me and you both believe that he's going to play in some capacity on Saturday night. And I just think that you need your stars to show up in the biggest moments, and Keenan is one of your biggest stars. He has to show up in this game, and he should, because he has the easiest matchup if he's going out of the slot, because he gets Trey Herndon. Trey Herndon has been good recently, but when he was playing against Kansas City, when he was playing against the Cowboys, even when he was playing with the Titans that didn't have Joshua Dobbs and had just Ryan Tannehill, he was getting cooked. And I think that is the best matchup for the Chargers in this one. In those 3 games against those 3 decent to good quarterbacks, he gave up 14 catches for 207 yards on 18 targets. On the season, he's allowing almost 15 yards per catch and a 122.6 passer rating. I think that is where I would definitely be looking to attack, especially on those third downs, especially so you can get off to a better start than you did in the last one, where you were empty your first 4 drives and had 2 turnovers. I think that's going to be huge. What else are you looking for this Chargers offense?
Yeah, I want to see the Chargers run the football, but I want them to do it strategically. Do not run the ball up the middle. The Jacksonville Jaguars are very stout in the middle. They do a very good job of limiting those yards per carry on the inside runs. On the outside, however, that is a completely different story, and that's where the Chargers excel when they're running the ball. When they run the ball behind left tackle, they're averaging 4.8 yards per carry. When they are going around the right end, which is on the outside of the right tackle, they're averaging 4.5 yards per carry. So if you are running to the outsides, making the defense have to run sideline to sideline, that's where you're going to be able to realize your most success running the football. And we all know what running the football does for you. You're allowed to stay on the football field longer. You get that time of possession. You keep Trevor Lawrence off the field. You keep Justin Herbert on the field, and you keep those chains moving, hopefully, to the end zone.
Yeah, and I mean the Titans against the Titans last week, the Jaguars are able to hold Derrick Henry to under 4 yards a carry, which is something that's really tough to do. It also
Yeah.
helps when you're going up against Joshua Dobbs, right? That's a different kind of animal. You can totally
Absolutely.
sell out against it, obviously. I
Yeah.
think that also helps, though, give Justin Herbert time, which I think is really, really important in this one.
Yeah.
Because guess how many pressures the Chargers gave up last time? 26. 8 of those were from Storm Norton. So obviously Storm Norton's probably not going to will not see the field, I feel confident saying, in this game. But over the last 2 games, I mean, Justin Herbert hasn't even played in the fourth quarter. This is what he's been able to do. 485 yards and 4 touchdowns, completing 71% of his passes. And he has 4 touchdowns and 0 interceptions over that span. And that's over 6 quarters. He has been cooking when he's been having time. I mean, there's no coincidence that the last 2 games, the Chargers have only given up 14 pressures. When they're giving him time, he is absolutely dissecting defenses, and he can do it again in this one, especially, I think, if he gets the tight ends involved. And that is something that I think that the Chargers really need to do because the Jaguars are not good against tight ends. They've given up over 1,000 yards to tight ends already this season, or over the course of 17 games. And over their past 8 games, it's been even worse. Tight ends are averaging 80 yards per game against them, and they've also given up 6 touchdowns against tight ends. We've seen the Chargers get the tight ends more involved recently, especially in the red zone. 3 touchdowns by the Chargers tight ends over the last 2 games. This is another good matchup, and they need these guys, especially with the uncertainty with Mike Williams. They need these other guys to step up, like Donald Parham, looking for explosive plays, and Gerald Everett as well.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my keys for success as well. The passer rating allowed to tight ends by the Jacksonville Jaguars is 119.3, which is 30th in the NFL. They absolutely get they get diced. They get diced up by the tight ends, and it's partially because of the linebackers. Aluakon's averaging over 80% reception percentage. Devin Lloyd 82.6% reception percentage. So you get those guys in coverage lined up on Donald Parham or Gerald Everett. It's a mismatch in your favor, and you absolutely have to take advantage of it. And then this one's just more Charger centric. Stick with what works. That's the play action, the rollouts, the bootlegs. You have to utilize Justin Herbert's athleticism, get him on the move, allow him to use his ability to throw on the run, which honestly is better than most any other quarterback in the league. Justin Herbert's highest completion percentage is on play action, 73.1%, 10 touchdowns to only 1 interception. That's where he excels. Get him opportunities to do that.
100%. And the way you do that too is by staying in those favorable downs and distances.
Yes.
Right? Nobody's buying the play action on 3rd and 10. I mean, that's one thing the Chargers really, just from a Charger standpoint, like you're talking about, it has to be a clean game from them, right?
Yes.
I mean, you fumbled twice last week. You have to clean that.
Can't have it.
Justin Herbert hasn't turned the ball over in 2 games. That's obviously great. He has to keep protecting the football, which he always does. Let's be honest. I mean, he is very, very good and safe with the football, but you also want to see some explosions. Like when you see Justin Herbert like really rear back, like there's nothing quite like that feeling when you see him getting ready to take that shot. And I think they'll have some shots available. I mean, I think especially if you keep doing the play action, this is a defense that is very fast, right? They're pretty physical, but they can run themselves out of plays too. And that's the one thing when you have a young defense that's really fast, they might open up some things for you just because they're not disciplined always. And I think that is one way the Chargers can attack this Jaguars defense. They've been really hot, this Jaguars defense, but like I said, it was against Zach Wilson. It was against Joshua Dobbs, right? Yeah. It was against Chris Streveler, whoever that backup Jets quarterback was. Like it hasn't been a really, a death row by any means of quarterbacks that they played. Davis Mills, you can throw in there as well. So it's kind of hard to tell. But it is a fast defense. It's an opportunistic defense for sure. You have to be clean in this game. The best way you can lose a playoff game is with turnovers and setting up easy scores for a Jaguars offense that really doesn't need it because they have a really good offense. And we're going to talk about that. Can Brandon Staley come up with the game plan? This is the spotlight. This is what you brought him in for. It's time for him to come up with something to make Trevor Lawrence uncomfortable because there was one thing that was way too comfortable in that first game, and it was Trevor Lawrence sitting back there and picking the Chargers apart. So we're going to talk about how the Chargers can slow down this Jaguars offense and give them a good chance to win this game coming up after this. But first, I need to tell you guys about LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you have to know what success is going to bring in 2023, and that all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because with LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. Hiring is not always just about hiring and finding someone, right? It's about getting the right fit. And the best way to get your 2023 off to a great start is by finding someone who's really going to fit with your company. My wife uses LinkedIn Jobs all the time as a recruiter. She said it's the easiest way to find the best people. She said you can send out 100 candidates or 100, emails to people and get 100 resumes, but unless you can find that one person that's going to get and stick with your company, it doesn't really matter. And the best way to find those people is with LinkedIn Jobs, and they make it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications all on one platform. That's why small businesses are rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Fair warning, this ad read might make you hungry because I have to tell you guys about my favorite protein bar, and of course, I'm talking about Built Bar. And Built Bar are the unicorn of the protein bar world because you're going to find something that fits on your New Year's resolution diet while also getting something that doesn't taste like cardboard, which to me is very important. I mean, for me, no matter how healthy something is, I have to like it to be able to eat it, especially consistency. So if you need to spice up your diet, you got to try Built, because with Built, healthy is actually tasty. I mean, seriously, what it comes down to me is the flavor. So many great flavors, and they're all 100% covered in chocolate and easy to chew. But you're talking about coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, churro. You shouldn't be able to eat things that are churro flavored when you're on a diet, but that's exactly what Built Bars are. And right now, they're as accessible, as easy to get as ever, because you can find them at your local Walmart. You can find them at your local Sam's Club. So if you're close to a Sam's Club, go in, run and buy a 13-bar box. You will find your favorite with the hit flavors like brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later. Go to BuiltBar.com right now, guys, and use promo code LOCKEDON15 to save 15% off your next order at BuiltBar.com. All right, let's get into our defensive keys for success here. I think this is kind of a strength versus strength of these two teams, especially recently, outside of the Broncos game, which was really weird, obviously. But the Jaguars' strength is their offense, and Trevor Lawrence, who is an up-and-coming star, right, like we talked about a little bit yesterday with Tony Wiggins. This is an offense that picked the Chargers apart last time, David. And to me, this time, Brandon Staley, who thoroughly got out-coached in that first matchup, has to have learned from his mistakes and has to come up with a good game plan for this one. And the players have to execute, right? I mean, we've seen good game plans from Staley so far this year, and the players didn't execute, and it doesn't end up looking like a good game plan. But you look at games against Kansas City, in both games, I thought they were good game plans, right? San Francisco, a great game plan. You held that offense to only 22 points with Jimmy G. You at Miami, right? That was a clinic. They need that again in this game, and you have to stay disciplined, right? You have to be able to learn from those mistakes, but most importantly, you have to go into this game with a plan to make it better than the first time.
Absolutely. And I think at the forefront of that plan is making sure that you do not allow Travis Etienne to run free. I mean, that's incredibly important because they really play action a lot, and it makes it so much better when Travis Etienne is running very effectively. And for him, if you look at, where he gains most of his success, it's really on the left side of the line. I mean, you look at it behind left guard, 5 yards a carry, behind left tackle, 5.2 yards per carry, behind left end, which is on the outside of the left tackle, 8.2 yards per carry. And it's drastically different to the other side, to the right side. So he finds a lot of his running success towards the left side of the offensive line. So the Chargers need to be prepared for that. They need to swarm to the ball carrier. They got to attack their gaps. They got to wrap up. They got to set a physical edge. They really like to use their tight ends kind of as, athletic blockers, lead blockers out there. So the Chargers need to make sure when they're in those one-on-one open field opportunities that they bring that ball carrier to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a huge part of the Jaguars offense, right? Is getting guys in space and letting them run and making guys miss tackles. I mean, if you can get them off of that rhythm, it really throws a wrench into things. And I think that's where you see the Jaguars make most of their mistakes offensively.
Yes.
When you take away the layups, and that's what I would consider those. But for the run defense, I mean, Etienne only averaged 3.5 yards per carry the first time around. It was James Robinson who cracked off the 50-yard run that really made that look like a bad run defense game when it really wasn't. The Chargers got run down and worn down in the second half, and they ended up giving up, a lot of loose plays. But the explosive runs are what kill the Chargers. And Travis Etienne is definitely capable of that. And that's why you have to be so focused on getting hands on him, getting bodies on him at the line of scrimmage, slowing him down because he's not a big dude. If you can get guys' hands on him and you can keep him out of those open spaces and really clog things up, he's going to struggle because he's not the type of dude who's going to push the pile for 5 yards. He's not the dude the Chargers have struggled with between the tackles. The perimeter defense is another story. The Chargers have to have a better physicality on the edge, better physicality from their defensive backs in this game, and they have to be able to tackle on the perimeter. If not, this dude's going to be running through their secondary, and that's exactly part of what doomed the Chargers last time. They go up against the Patriots after having that Ravens game where they played all the defensive backs. Bill Belichick said, do that. Have fun with all your defensive backs. Sony Michel, remember him? 24 carries, 129 yards, 3 touchdowns they gave up in the last playoff game the Chargers played in, and it doomed them.
Ugh.
You can't let that be the case in this game. It would really, really suck to have it go down that way. But what else do you think that the Chargers have to do defensively? What else are you looking for from them?
Yeah, so similar to the Miami Dolphins, they have a lot of speed on this offense. So I want to kind of see them take a page out of that game plan and implement it into this one, and that is to get physical with these wide receivers. Really get your hands on them. Don't let Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Marvin Jones get a free release and let them run down the football field. Don't do that.
Yeah.
You need to get your hands on them, be physical. You got 5 yards to harass them legally. Do it. Okay,
yeah, I agree.
Do it as much as humanly possible. You get them off of their routes, especially because Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback that doesn't go through full progressions. He doesn't. He's more of a 1 read, 2 read type of guy. He really wants to stay in rhythm, and if you are able to knock those receivers off of their rhythm, off their routes, that's going to force him to really have to navigate and go through progressions across the field and have to make him make a decision that he didn't really want to make.
It is, I mean, a huge part of Trevor Lawrence's game. There's so much of it is timing, so much of it is rhythm, a great way to kind of, slow down an RPO offense, which this offense can be sometimes, right? Where they're really stressing your linebackers, they're really stressing your slot cornerbacks to make a decision whether they're going to come up and fill or whether they're going to, kind of drop into a hook and take away that slant route. They love that. Slant or hand it off. If you can disrupt the timing on that, if you can get your hands on the receiver, it's going to make him hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And I think that's all part, and really what it comes down to is just making him uncomfortable. They didn't do it the first time around. They have to.
At all.
The Chargers should be able to get pressure in this game. Every one of their best pressure getters is going to be playing in this game. You have Bosa, you have Mack, you have Kyle Van Noy. They're all available. You have Morgan Fox. You have your 2 best blitzers, Drew Tranquill and Derwin James.
Yep.
I know you can't just, totally go blitz happy against this offense. They will kill you, right?
Yes.
I mean, they will get rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah, Lawrence is good against the blitz.
Anyways.
Yeah.
It's what they want to do anyways, is get the ball out of their hands quickly.
Yes.
But you don't necessarily have to blitz to find pressure in that way. You can still send 4 guys. If you're doing it right, you can still find ways to get those one-on-one matchups for your killers, for Joey Bosa, for Khalil Mack. But it all starts up front in first and second down, right? Getting those situations. They had way too many manageable third downs when you were making them get to third downs in that first game, right? Way too many where it's just those are impossible to stop. I'm looking for Derwin James to, in key situations, line up against Ingram, right? Evan Ingram, I think, especially with quick passes, you have anything 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. They want to get the ball in that dude's hand a lot of times behind the line of scrimmage and cause the confusion that's going to get them those free yards. If you can take away the layups, if you can stay disciplined and not give them those easy play action rollouts with just a little check down pass that gains them 7-8 yards, you're going to throw a wrench in this offense. The Titans did it, and the better defenses they've gone against have been able to do that against them. They've gone up against a lot of really bad teams recently, so we haven't seen it as much. But there's a way to slow down this offense, and I think you're going to need all of that, and you're also going to need your corners and guys to step up as well, right? Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, you have to be able to find a way. Bryce Callahan, Michael Davis, Asante Samuel Jr., all those guys have to step up. They can make him uncomfortable. They're going to give themselves a chance.
They have to stay disciplined. This offense likes to use a lot of misdirection, a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of motion. Yeah. They like to try to mess you up and try to make you get the defense going all one way, and they're going to throw back the other way. And they've done that several times throughout the season with great success. So you have to be very disciplined, very assignment sound against this offense. They're trying to put you in conflict. Do not allow them to do it. You got to stay within your rules and make sure that you are doing what you are supposed to do and be where you are supposed to be. This is the playoffs. There is no margin for error. You have to be as perfect as you can on every single down.
That's the thing too, right? Misdirection gets you on 2nd and 5. Misdirection gets you on 1st and 10 when you can manipulate the linebackers and get guys to kind of flow the wrong way. You can't really do it on 3rd and 10. Right? You can, but it's just wasted time.
At your own peril, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, someone's just going to shoot straight at the quarterback and not pay any attention to the fake handoff, right? So it's about getting them out of those comfort situations, because that's what Doug Peterson has done. All the things we want them to do with Justin Herbert. They get him on the move. They give him easy passes and get him wide open throwing lanes. Chargers don't do that enough. They're really good at it, but you can take it away if you're good enough on those early downs, and you don't have to overcommit to the run because you're playing it well with your base defense or whoever you're sending out there. You can get away with it and then get to those 3rd downs where the Chargers have been money recently, and then you get all of your best players involved doing what they're best at. And that's how you win this game defensively for the Chargers. But there are a couple guys who I think have to step up in this game that are both involved in my bold predictions. So we have to get into our bold and our game predictions coming up right after this. But first, I do need to tell you guys about our official betting sponsor, and it's BetOnline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. And guess what? When you're betting, there's one thing you always want to be: informed. And BetOnline is helping you do that. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to basketball season, they've got it all at BetOnline.net. Right now, guys, it's been very interesting to see how this game is kind of swayed in the eyes of the people at BetOnline.net. The Chargers earlier this week, you heard me say, they are a pick'em in this game. Well, the Chargers are now favored by 2.5 points at BetOnline. So what they know, I don't know, but things seem to be trending for them in the right direction for the Chargers. As Chargers fans, that just scares you more. But it's not just the score that you're betting on with BetOnline. You have great prop bets. The best time of the season for prop bets. You can go, will Keenan Allen score a touchdown? Will Derwin James have at least 8 tackles? Will Austin Eckler have between 51 and 75 rushing yards in this game? I think that's a nice little window. Those are all things you can bet at BetOnline, where the game starts. Well, David, it's time to make our predictions, our bold and our game predictions for this one. I will let you start offensively because, I think it's pretty obvious where I'm going with this one, considering what I led the show with today. So I'll let you lead us off here. Where are you going with your offensive bold prediction?
Yeah, so offensive bold prediction for me is, I think, a guy that they've been kind of giving a couple of shots to here and there, a couple catches here and there, a guy who's going to be a lot more featured in this game, and that is Donald Parham Jr. I think he's going to go off in this game. I think he has a great matchup. I don't think there's anyone on that other side that can cover him down in and down out. I'm going to go 5 catches, 94 yards, and a 30-plus yard touchdown.
Oh, I would love that. Chunk plays, Donald Parham, get him the ball in space. It doesn't seem like this offense is ever really fully ready to commit to Donald Parham in that role. And there's a lot of mouths to feed, obviously. But he continues to be one of the more underutilized players on the Chargers. And I think when you're a team that's lacking the explosive plays, when you're a team that's lacking the chunk plays, it seems so obvious to try to get that dude more involved. And it seems like, last game they found him a couple, decently length passes, get a 23-yard catch in the last game. That's great to see. I hope it keeps going. If you followed along this season, you had known at one point the best bold prediction that could be made was me making a bold prediction about a wide receiver to go off. I think with Mike Williams, I think he's done it probably 4 times I've picked him. But it's been boom or bust, let's be honest. In the games I've picked and I've been wrong, somebody gets hurt, they leave early, and they get, 4 catches for 17 yards. I'm praying to all the football gods. I'm raising this up. I'll make whatever sacrifice you like. I need Keenan Allen in this game to show up in a big way, and I think he will. He has a great matchup. He's been fantastic this season. He's as healthy as he's been all season. This is the time for him to go off, and Justin Herbert loves throwing him the football. I have Keenan Allen in this one, 9 catches for 125 yards and a touchdown, dwarfing what he did in 2 games in his last playoff appearance. I think he's going to show up in a big way. Let's go to the defensive bold predictions here. I'm going to go first because I don't know who David's picking, and I don't want him to take my guy. Joey Bosa is my defensive bold prediction on this one. We haven't seen him all season. He said he's as good as he's been in a long, long time, a couple of years in his words. Let's see it. I think Joey Bosa, it's going to be tough to get to Trevor Lawrence and get rid of the ball quickly, but I think the Chargers are going to be able to confuse him just enough to hold on to the ball. And not only do I have him with 2.5 sacks in this game, I have him with a forced fumble on a game-tying or winning drive by the Jaguars that gets thwarted by the Big Bear. I think Joey Bosa wins this game with 2.5 sacks and a forced fumble.
Honestly, I can easily see that. These couple of games that he's returned,
he's been good.
He's looked really good. At least when it's coming out, when he's coming after the quarterback,
explosive.
like he looks fresh, he looks explosive. I feel like he is primed and ready and excited to go off in this playoff game. So I like that bold prediction a lot. For me, my bold prediction is going to be that Michael Davis is going to lock up Christian Kirk. I think he is going to only allow 5 catches for 50 yards in this one. I feel like he is going to dominate him. I love the way that Michael Davis is playing football right now. I think he's one of the best defenders on the team right now. He's just in the zone, and I think that's going to continue in this game.
I'd love to see him get an interception too. The biggest difference has been him making plays on the football, him being there at the catch point, enforcing incompletions, which like the second half of the season, nobody has forced more incompletions than Michael Davis, and they're going to need him in a few big moments.
Yeah.
He was okay the first time around. He gave up a bunch of catches. He gave up a bunch of first downs in the first matchup against this Jaguars team. He's a different player now.
He's much
we need
better
to see
now.
him show up in this one. All right, David. Well, I'll remind everyone, I did give my game prediction yesterday. I have the Chargers winning this one 27-24 in a close game. I mean, I'm telling you, I think Joey Bosa is going to get a strip sack on a potential game-tying, game-winning drive for the Jaguars. I think it might come down to that. It might come down to, a last possession kind of a game where the Chargers defense is either going to have to win it for them or their offense is going to have to step up and go win the game. I think that's just where this one's going. I don't see it being a blowout in this one. I think the Chargers pull it off. I mean, the expectations should be high. The Chargers should expect to win this game. They should be locked in for it. I have them going across the country in primetime on Saturday night, pulling off the upset. Will David pick them to win? I mean, he is a noted contrarian. He's a very big pessimistic guy. What do you think is going to happen in this one, David? Do you have Justin Herbert winning his first career playoff game?
Yep, giant pessimist over here, definitely. Yes, I do. I do have Justin Herbert winning his first playoff game, and the reason for that is because this Chargers team is healthy on their offensive line. It was not healthy the first time these two teams played. You didn't have Corey Linsley in that game. Rashawn Slater was injured in that game. They are the healthiest at the offensive line position that they are, that they can possibly be at this point in time. Their offensive weapons are going to be available in this one. On defense, I feel like they're going to learn from their lessons and from 17 games worth of game tape to be able to understand how this Jacksonville Jaguars offense is going to try to attack them. I feel like they're going to get some pressure. I feel like they're going to get some turnovers. I think the Chargers are going to win this game 28-20.
I like that. I could definitely see that. And I think you need a little bit from both sides, right? You need the offense to kind of do better than we've seen in big parts of this season. And you need the defense to get back to what they were doing, where you could have a better defensive performance in this game and give up 20 points than any game you had during that win streak, right? Because it's a different kind of offense they're going up against. It's a much better team they're going up against. The interior does scare me a little bit. I mean, Matt Filer was not good in the first game, right? I think he gave up 7 pressures. I think a lot of that had to do with Will Clapp playing 50 pass blocking snaps and not having the help of Corey Linsley. And I think Zion Johnson is a lot better. But Roy Robertson Harris, they have some guys in there that can make some chaos. And then the Chargers offensive line has to come through. That's why it was a big key for success for me. Because if they give Justin Herbert time, there's no reason I see him, not dicing up this defense. I think he has the ability to do it. He has more healed ribs than he had the first time around. He's much healthier now. That was the first game after the rib injury for him. Hopefully he has his biggest target, Mike Williams. Hopefully Mike Williams can make an impact in this game, because in a close game, sometimes you need those special moments, and Mike Williams is the guy who brings it for the Chargers offense. It's just always who he has.
And when Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are on the field together, the Chargers are 4-0 this year. And
when they finish a full game,
when they finish the full game healthy, that's from the NFL on Twitter there. And Herbert's completing over 73.7% of his passes when both of his pass catchers are on the field. So it's very important to have those guys healthy, and hopefully all this rest is going to be good for Williams, and they're going to be ready to go out there and shine under the bright lights.
Yeah, and we'll see what Josh Palmer can do. 6 catches, 99 yards in that first one. Had a big catch over the middle, big catch and run. It's going to be really exciting. I'm just really excited, and hope that we, the best part will be we get another week next week to talk this game with you guys, another game to talk about, and we'll see, what happens on Saturday night. But it feels like the Chargers, have been struggling all season for this game. A lot they've gone through for this big game. Justin Herbert's ready. Will the rest of the team show up around him? I think they will. I think they find a way to get it done next week and get themselves a date with one of the AFC elites. So we'll see if they can do it. But to make sure you guys don't miss the post-game show, a special Saturday post-game show. Hopefully we're popping champagne with you guys on Saturday night. Make sure you're subscribing to the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Maybe we'll take a sip. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a drink if the Chargers can pull this playoff game up. Who knows? But make sure you guys are following and subscribing to YouTube or following on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. We're free and available every day. You can also find the show every day on our social media. You can hit me up on Twitter at DanTalkSports and find David Drogemeyer on Twitter at DroTalkSD. You can also find the show's page at Locked On LAC. You can also find us on our at Locked On Chargers or at Locked On Chargers on Instagram or on our Locked On Chargers Facebook page as well. If you guys want to call in and give your post-game reactions to the Chargers can pull off a big one, or if they don't on Saturday, you can call into the voicemail line at 323-524-7924. Thank you guys for making us your first listen today. We're so excited about the Chargers being in the playoffs. Hopefully they can pull it off. Thank you for making us your first listen. If you need a second listen and you want to check us out maybe on a post-game victory show, you can check us out on Locked On NFL Podcast, bringing you the local insights you love in the national spotlight and daily conversations on the biggest NFL stories. Available on YouTube wherever you get your podcast from. David, me and you will be back here Saturday night, hopefully talking about a big-time playoff victory for Justin Herbert on the Chargers. But until then, guys, take it easy and go Bolts.